chapter 13, around verse 20 or so. As I get myself organized here, if that were possible. Someone asked him, Lord, are only a few people going to be saved? He said to them, make every effort to enter through the narrow door, because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to. In Luke chapter 13, verse 23. The narrow door is what the NIV says right there. I wanted to talk to you about that. You know, what that person asked him, whoever that was, someone, it says, Lord, are only a few people going to be saved? That's kind of one of those real basic questions that a lot of us probably have, or would have for the Lord if He were standing in front of us right now. It kind of, again, comes back to that real basic stuff of, Lord, who's going to be saved? And, one of the more even basic questions of that is, am I going to be saved? Because it's what we want to know. And we've always wondered, okay, who is going to be saved? How many? Is it just me, or is it going to be a lot of folks, or are there certain ones? And what are some of those things that are going to keep people out of the kingdom of heaven? Again, one of those really basic questions. I want to talk to you a little bit about the word saved, okay? Because that's what he's asking us there. He's asking who's going to be saved. This person, whoever someone is that talks to him and asks him this, and we don't know his reasons for asking, whether he was testing Jesus, whether he truly, really wanted to know, or whether, there was something else going on. He was trying to mock Jesus, perhaps. But he understands this concept of saved and of salvation. And in the Greek, this word, saved or saved or to save, is sozo. And you probably have heard that, but it's a word that you should be familiar with, a Greek word that you should understand. And I think there's a group called sozo, isn't there? I think there's a Christian music group called sozo out there that I've heard of.
I think it's on the cover of the
Yeah. Why is that? I'm going to think of a whole other sermon about that. Where's that zozo?
I don't know. It might be Zozo.
This is sozo. Okay? And the word, save, to save, means to keep safe or sound, secure from danger or destruction, to deliver from penalties, perhaps, and in this case, particularly in the case of the Scriptures, to deliver from the penalties of the Messianic judgment, otherwise known as the Law of Moses, right? And that's what to save is, and that's what he's talking about in being saved here. That's what this someone is asking him is, who is going to be delivered from the penalties of Messianic judgment? Okay? Now, in the New Testament, the word sozo appears 118 times. And it is a very common word. I mean, we hear it all the time. It's part of Christianese. In fact, it's one of the most basic words in Christianese, right? Are you saved? How many did you get saved in your church? Or what time did you get saved? What was the hour or the moment of the day? All of these things that are a part of our understanding as Christians, about being saved. But let's look at it a little bit more, this idea of sozo. The Scripture has some different, or slightly different interpretations, or there's some variations there. For instance, in Mark 13, he says, if the Lord had not cut short those days, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect whom He has chosen, He has shortened them. You know that Scripture. You've heard it before. But the word survive there is sozo. Okay? So you can survive. We're talking about that. Who then will survive? Could be another way that could be said. In Mark chapter 8, he says, for whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. Sozo. Okay? That's the kind of the Scripture, the understanding that we have, that basic idea of being saved. And, it wasn't only Jesus who said this. You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God. Sozo yourself. That's what the Pharisees were telling Jesus when he was hanging on the cross. Sozo. But then there are a couple of other uses as well that we can find. In Matthew chapter 9, This woman said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." Jesus turned and saw her. "Take heart, daughter," he said. "Your faith has healed you." Sozo. And the woman was healed from that moment. Sozo is also used as healing in that idea, in that passage that we have there. Healed. What an interesting idea. Why healed? Why would that be that same word? Healed, saved, survived. And, maybe many of you have heard me from time to time pray for the patients of Three Streams. And, my basic prayer for them, and it doesn't seem to change ever, it's the Lord's will, I believe, is that they be healed, but they be healed in their most basic illness or need, and that is their relationship with God. And so, in saving, it could be the same as being healed. Healed. That most basic relationship that we have to have healed, all of us have to have healed, is our relationship with God. And so saving is healing. And the thing that we need saving from, you understand, and just to give you a little reminder here, is the fall. That thing that happened back in the very first part of the book. Remember? Adam and Eve. That's the thing that we have to have healed. That's the relationship that was broken then, and we have all had to grow up with. But Jesus is the healer, isn't he? He's the healer of that actual thing. Now, before I go ahead of myself, we go back to Luke chapter 13, and we say, okay, Lord, who are only a few people going to be saved? And Jesus' answer, let's look at that, because we've looked at what the question means a little bit now. And the answer is, make every effort to enter through the narrow door, because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to. Okay, when we ask a basic, incredibly profound sort of question like who's going to be saved, we need to pay a lot of attention to the answer. We really do. And so, as you probably have seen through Scripture already, when people ask him those very, very basic questions, does he say yes or no, or 1,000, or 975.3, or he doesn't seem to answer questions that way. He's like one of my relatives. How are you doing? Are you going to go to the grocery today? And you get this whole long thing. Yeah, but are you going to go to the grocery today? Give me a straight answer. And it seems like in some ways that Jesus doesn't want to give us a straight answer. He doesn't just say, there are going to be about 999,999 that are going to be saved. He doesn't do that. He says, make every effort to enter through the narrow door, because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to. Well, he does answer it there, doesn't he? There are many who are not going to be saved. That's what he's saying there. And that is a painful thing. But he says it right there. And more important than trying to answer somebody's curiosity about who is going to be saved is interested in making sure that you make it. And that's what you see in his answer there. He says, make every effort. That's the first thing he says. He doesn't say so-and-so is going to be saved. He said, make every effort. He's talking about you making every effort to enter through the narrow door. And that's always Jesus' most important motivation, is getting you with him. Last week you heard Father Bill preach from the passage in Romans, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Saved. It's that same word, sozo, there, okay? And he talked about that idea of once saved, always saved concept, and how that is a fallacy. It's not right. And the idea of trying to make the way easy, But this narrow door is just that. It's narrow. It's not easy. But the narrow door is a door of healing. It's a door of restoration and wholeness. And that restoration, that wholeness, that healing in being saved is that you become healed of the fall.